Hello and welcome to our Vodcast for our class Education 5199, Teaching and Learning with Mobile Technologies. My name is Victoria Dykes. I'm a part-time professor of communication at Durham College as well as a full-time high school teacher with the Durham District School Board. And today I will be the moderator for our debate on the topic of arguments for and against mobile technology integration. Today's debate will summarize some of the key arguments in this debate. And before we begin, I would like to take a moment to introduce our other team members. Could the participants on our arguments for side please take a moment to say hello?
Hello, my name is Lauren Hoefs, and I am a full-time graduate student and research assistant at the Faculty of Education at UOIT.
Hello, I'm Jason Havelock, and I am a full-time high school teacher teaching science, math, and special education, as well as a part-time student at UIT in a Master's of Education.
And now we are going to move forward and have our participants for the arguments against take a moment to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Raven Hall. I am a high school history teacher with the Durham District School Board, and I'm also a part-time student in the Master's of Education program.
Hi everyone, my name is Justin Havelock. I am a full-time science and math high school teacher with the York Region District School Board and a part-time student at UIT studying my Master's of Education.
Okay, thank you everyone. Each team will be given approximately 3 minutes to present their main arguments and summarize their main points. And then we will also have some time for rebuttals at the end of the debate. So from here on out, I will let the teams take over. And at the end of the debate, we are going to give you, the audience, a chance to decide who the winner of the debate is. So if the team arguments for can please begin summarizing their points.
Perfect. Thanks, Vicki. So there are many arguments that can be made for benefits that accompany integrating mobile learning into education in terms of how they positively impact students. So mobile learning allows for students to move at their own pace of learning and in their own style as well. So the portability of these devices, mainly tablets and cell phones, it enables students to take advantage of anywhere, anytime learning, and it provides students with the opportunity to interactively engage with the learning material. Mobile learning provides rich and collaborative learning opportunities by facilitating global learning opportunities, wherein students can foster digital relationships, and this allows them to contextualize their lives and develop shared understandings and intercultural competencies. It also provides the added benefit of allowing students who are more introverted to perhaps contribute to discussions and participate in different ways in class. So they can tweet, they can message, they can add discussion posts, and they do this all through using the technology itself. It also changes teaching in a positive manner insofar as the teacher or the class moderator is no longer seen as the sage on the stage. Rather, learning doesn't always happen in the classroom. So the learning with M-learning follows the learner, and it gives students more ownership over their learning as well. And I'm going to pass it over to Jason, who will let you know a little bit more about benefits that come along for the institutions.
So as Lauren said, there are several benefits for the students, but there are also benefits for the schools and the institutions. So one of the benefits is that of budget. So a lot of students already own their own mobile device, and that means that the institutions themselves don't need to purchase the technology, which will ultimately reduce the costs. So this puts a responsibility on the student and reduces the cost for the institution. So a big money saver for them. Also, responsibility for upkeep of the mobile devices resides with the student. So the student is responsible for upgrading to maintain their mobile device, whether it be a phone or a tablet. And again, this is going to save the institution significant funds. Another benefit is that in higher education and workplaces, the integration of mobile learning allows for quick and easy access to organization networks and enhances student worker productivity. So that is certainly another benefit for the institution as well. And finally, there is also a flexibility in learning, as well as increase in diversity. So when we get an increase in enrollment at higher education, this will diversify the population, because what's happening is students from abroad, such as Europe, Asia, and Africa, can actually enroll in the online course. They can have access to the course thousands of miles away and still be able to come together and to connect and to collaborate. So this is going to increase the diversity for online courses and helps to promote multiculturalism as well.
Okay, thank you very much for your arguments, Lauren and Jason. We are now going to move on to our opposing side and have Raven and Justin present the arguments against learning with mobile technology. So I'll pass that over to them.
Okay, thank you so much for passing it over to us. So one of the main reasons why using mobile integration can be a negative in the classroom is with the digital divide that happens with students. So basically, students don't know how to self-regulate because they're relying on everything with their phones. So in the future, when they get their career started, they won't know how to access any sort of information or do anything on their own because they'll be so used to just logging onto their phone and finding the information quickly instead of actually doing the research and actually, you know, using books and other sort of resources to find information. Also, with this digital divide comes the financial cost of it. So certain countries, they don't have the same infrastructures that we do in first world countries, so they won't be able to use the same type of mobile integration that we're lucky enough to have here. As well as it's very hard for school boards to keep up to date with all of the new current trends in technology. It's always changing, so it actually really does affect a school board's budget because it's very expensive to keep up with all of the new technology and be able to afford it all with every single school. As well as you can't guarantee that every family can afford a mobile device. So if students in your classroom, some of them can't afford it, then they are in this digital divide with the students who can afford it. So that comes to be a huge issue in the classroom, as well as privacy issues that come up. So when staff and students are accessed on a school network, their personal information from their phones, so like their photos, messages, and other information can be accessed by everyone else. There's no privacy with that. And also you risk teachers and students maybe accessing inappropriate content on the school website and using the school system. And it can lead to actually bullying in the cyber world after, because students are able to access personal information. They could use that against each other, which can cause a lot of issues. So those are some of the privacy and digital divide issues that come with using mobile integration in the classroom. And I'm going to pass it on to Justin now.
Thank you, Raven. So I will continue discussing some of the disadvantages of using mobile technology and mobile learning in the classroom. So first we have the communication barriers. So a lot of games and entertainment that is provided in class is constantly changing, and these have a lot of negative connotations. Studies have shown that achievement actually increases without the addition of mobile technology and mobile integration, simply because it is a major distraction in the classroom. Using cell phones also leads to increased deviance. So students becoming more susceptible to using their cell phones in class and become defiant to the teacher that they want to use their cell phones for a particular reason. The impact of mobile phones on student performance has also been studied and found that after schools banned mobile tests and mobile phones, test scores actually increased. So for students who were about 16 to 18 years old, which are high school level students, they found that once cell phones were banned, that test scores actually improved by 6.4%, which is quite a big difference. And similarly, studies have found that banning phones actually improved performance in test scores, especially with lower level students, lower achieving students, and special education students. So again, students who require less distraction in the classroom. There's also issues with changes in learning. So once cell phones are implemented in classroom, the teacher becomes more of the lecturer to the tutor, so it becomes more of an aid, where cell phones become the major resource in class, and that can be an issue, such as building infrastructures. So technical staff and someone who's able to keep up with the technology in class. If there's a high financial burden and a high cost, people are less likely to use cell phones. Different learners have a variety of mobile devices. So someone has an iPhone where someone has an Android. It may be difficult to access the same information using different mobile servers. Similarly, with different versions of devices require regular updates. So updates require cost, and consumers also keep up with the different technology and the different costs. There's also the issue with availability. So teachers who upload their class resources online, if students can access from their cell phones, there's an issue with some students having access where others don't. And similarly with planning resources. So if a teacher wants to plan a resource, educators rely too heavily on mobile device information and begin to stray away from using textbooks and other resources in class.
Okay, well, thank you both for your arguments. We are now going to move into the rebuttal stage of our debate. So I'm going to ask the people who were on the arguments for side, if there are any rebuttals now that you've heard the arguments against side, please say your piece.
Sure, I'll jump in here first, Jason, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the con side spoke about the devices serving more so as a distraction in class, but this is not necessarily true. Rather, in M-learning, students have to use active learning strategies while using their mobile devices, and this is an engaging method of learning, and it actually results in a higher level of learning because it's more personalized as well. There's also the issue that was spoken about regarding the digital divide, but in many cases, students will actually share devices with one another, and because this is such a collaborative form of learning, it's just what's expected. So you may not necessarily have everyone with their own device in the classroom, but it's not necessary in order to foster this kind of higher order level thinking and learning.
And I'll just add to that, if it's okay, that students today, they need 21st century skills, which include the use of text messaging, connecting to the internet, being able to use the internet for researching. So if we're taking away these mobile devices from the students, how are they actually going to learn these important life skills that these students need once they actually leave the classroom walls? So being able to engage, to empower students to learn with a mobile device, I think is a very important skill that, especially at a crucial stage such as being in elementary school, high school, even in post-secondary, before they go into the real world, to have these these technological skills.
Okay, thank you both. I'm going to now pass it over if there's any rebuttals on the other team. Please say your piece.
Okay, so you mentioned the collaborative component when it comes to mobile integration, and you did say that if not all the students can afford it, they can share, which promotes that collaborative piece. But at the same time, I still feel that students who can't afford it, they're definitely going to see the difference in the classroom, knowing that some students and some of their families can afford something that they can't, and that would really make some students feel very uncomfortable. And I don't think some families would be happy knowing that their child is a visible minority in the classroom. They can't afford something, and it's very obvious if they have to share with a student who actually owns one. So that can create a lot of issues. And when it comes to the mobile integration for the future, we have iPads, we have computers, we have laptops, we have so many different things. I don't really think we need mobile device integration into the classroom because students already know how to use it. They know how to text message and use the apps and contact people, so there's really no reason why that needs to be incorporated in the classroom when we already have so many devices in the first place. I don't think that's going to affect them in the job market in the future when they already know how to use a cell phone in the first place.
And
Sure.
we have about 30 seconds left.
I'm just going to jump in quickly and say that I think that students cannot multitask. I think that if they have cell phones, it is such a distraction, whereas they cannot use their cell phones and focus in class. And if we want to talk about being inclusive, well, if a student doesn't have a cell phone, how can they partake in lessons? So this is where the teacher should be the primary resource in class, using textbooks and other aids. I think cell phones are just too much of a distraction. It leads to too much defiance, and there's too much of a cost factor as well.
Okay, so I think we've heard some pretty valuable arguments from both sides. We're just going to take a minute here to conclude now. We're in our last minute and a half or so of the presentation. So thank you, teams, for presenting your arguments so wonderfully. I am going to ask in just a moment for you to make a conclusion statement before we leave. So if I could get the arguments for to quickly make their conclusion statement.
All right, I can take this on if you'd like. So, for one of our resources from the course, Charles, a 2012 reading, and it's the article, Cell Phones, Rule Setting, Rule Breaking, and Relationships in the Classroom. I would just like to read a quote from that to end off. So, By incorporating new media into pedagogical practices through mobile technologies and permitting students to use these tools through structured, monitored, and explicit instruction, learning becomes more engaging, dynamic, interactive, and collaborative. Thank you.
Okay, and if we can pass it over to our arguments against, if they can make a quick conclusion, please.
I would like to end with a quote from Saul Bellow saying that happiness can only be found if you can free yourself from all other distractions.
Okay, so great conclusions. We're just going to quickly put up a couple of screen shares here. It is now your turn as the audience. So if you can leave us a comment on either the YouTube video here or perhaps on our classroom Twitter feed, which I'll bring up for you now, let us know who you think won. So if you think that the arguments for side won the debate, let us know. If you think the arguments against won, let us know using the hashtag EDUC5199G. We also wanted to quickly share with you our mobile learning resource. So you can see the link here at the top. Feel free to visit it if you'd like some more information. And thank you all very much for attending our podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.